Hey guys, it's OrenoBeys. Welcome back to another Beyblade X unboxing and review. Today we're going to be checking out the second of the new dual packs from Wave 8 of Hasbro, that being Clamp Crab and Crest Leon. Now going over the packaging quickly, as you can see it's your standard Wave 8 dual pack packaging. We're used to this at this point. And then flipping onto the back of the box, it gives you a full breakdown of all the parts you get in this pack. So with Clamp Crab, we have of course the Clamp Crab blade itself. Ratchet is $9.65, and then we have the spike bit. And then for Crest Leon, we of course have the Crest Leon blade. Ratchet is $4.55, and then we have the Accel bit. So let's get into this dual pack. So here is Clamp Crab and Crest Leon out of the packaging. So it is a bit of an interesting dual pack for a few reasons. We are getting a brand new retool, which is pretty cool. I'm always a sucker for these retools. And we are getting another bay from one of the branded boosters, which is pretty cool. Now Crest Leon has had its combo change from that original release, so you are getting some different parts here. And we'll talk about how I'm not the biggest fan of these part choices. But let's now take a full dive into all the parts that we get for both of these bays. So first off, we have the Clamp Crab blade itself. So this is a BX standard release, so you do have plastic over the gear chip and standard launch hooks. Now this is also a retool of Wyvern Gale, so this is the second time that blade has been retooled. And I gotta say, it looks really cool. I do think the motif on the gear chip looks really sick. And you got the two claws integrated into the blade design. It looks really, really sick. So this is a stamina type orientated blade. So this will perform fairly similar to Wyvern Gale and Yelkong. But probably the main thing that is gonna let this blade down is its weight. This is a lot lighter than the original Wyvern Gale and even Yelkong. In fact, it's one of the lightest blades available right now, which isn't great. And as a result, it doesn't really have much punch, and it does get knocked around quite a bit. But I do like the motif. I think it looks really cool. That's definitely one thing it has going for it, but in the stadium, it's probably not going to do very well. At least if you're putting it in the standard TT stadium. But otherwise, looks pretty cool. Next up, we have the 965 Ratchet. So this is the second release of this Ratchet from Hasbro. And we are going to be getting the original colors for this in Wave 9. But it's 9 attrition points at the 65 height. Not the best simple ratchets you can use right now. And honestly, a lot of people are getting sick of these simple ratchet releases from Hasbro. But the color of this ratchet does look really cool. I think they chose a really nice blue. Definitely really a good pick for a crab blade. But not the best ratchet choice. I would have liked to have seen maybe 960. I think that would have been a great option to have in a dual pack. But we're just stuck with 965. Looks cool though, but not the best ratchet choice. Finally, for the bit, we have Spike. Not a new part. We've seen this bit a few times now from Hasbro, but we now have it in a brand new color. Looks really cool. We haven't seen this since the Obsidian Shell and Samurai Caliber dual pack from Wave 7, so it is in another dual pack. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of this bit, but I will admit it can be useful at times, and the color of this one is nice, but you're better off using different defense type bits if you want something like Spike. Looks cool though, but again, not the best bit choice here. With this combination of parts, it makes Clamp Crab a defense type. So let's now focus on the second blade that we get in this pack, and this is really where I feel the pack does fall short massively. First up, we have the Crest Leon blade itself. So this is a UX standard blade, so launch hooks are plastic, and the metal is more allocated to the other weight distribution. Now the blade features half metal, half plastic, so it's supposed to have really strong defense, and supposed to help really deflect attacks. It can do that pretty well at times, but these days with how heavy a lot of attack types have been, this blade does get knocked around quite a bit. Now this is the same blade that was originally available in the Hell's Reaper random booster, so if you were after this specific version of Crest, you now have a better way of getting it in a dual pack, which is pretty cool. Not my favorite defense type blade, but it does look really cool in these colors. Now if it actually had its original combos still, I think this would be an excellent blade to pick up, but as you'll probably see, this isn't the original combo, and it really comes with way worse parts. Next up, we have the 455 ratchet. So yes, you are getting 2 simple ratchets in this dual pack, which isn't great. Now we'll say 455 is at least a bit better than 965, but not by much. But the colors of this 455 look really cool. I really like this fluorescent orange it's in. But I do wish it was still the original ratchet this came with. I believe it came with 970 originally. So, not the best ratchet inclusion here, and this is a ratchet we've gotten so much lately, it's actually getting ridiculous. The colors make up for it a little bit, but not by much. Finally, for the bit, we have a Cell. Now, this is the first release of a Cell in a dual pack. The last time we also saw this bit was in the Jurassic World collab packs. So we now also have him in white, and it does look pretty cool, but not a great attack type bit. It just drains stamina really too quick, and in the case with Crest, it's not a great bit to work with. And probably what really takes the piss even more is that this is a substitute for kick. Yes, this original combo is supposed to have kick, which isn't great. I would have loved to have seen kick in this dual pack. It would have been amazing. Or even a white glide. I think that would have been a nice substitute as well. But a Cell, it's just really bittersweet. It's still an arcade bit from time to time, but when you just compare it to what the original bit was, it really makes it not feel that great to work with. With this combination of parts, it makes Crest an attack type. So let's now head over to the scales and weigh up both bays and see how much they all weigh. Alright, let's now do some weights for Clamp Crab and Crest. So starting off with Crab, so Spike, 1.97, 965, 4.4, and then Clamp Crab, this one weighs, oh my god, 27.35 grams. That is not good at all. When you compare it to the original Wyvern Gale, this one weighs 31.73, so this one is really about 4 grams lighter. And then for Yao-Kong, the other retool for Wyvern out right now, is around the same ballpark. So Clamp Crab is now the lightest out of the retools of Wyvern, which isn't great. If it had been at least a similar weight, this actually could have been at least somewhat decent. So let's put the bay together. I'll admit the colors of the parts look great. Let's put it all together. Clamp Crab weighs 33.70. So not an impressive weight for Crab. Now for Crest, the Cell bit weighs 2.57, 455, 4.70, and then the Crest blade itself weighs 34.70. So when we compare it to this one that I already reviewed months ago, 34.77. So same weight ballpark really. It's a decent weight, but it's just not amazing, especially considering the power creep which it's had lately. So let's put the bay together. 455 and the Cell. Oh. It would help if I put it on the right bay. This is your review. No, you already had your review. So let's put the bay together. It's just a shame it's not the original parts that this bay came with. If it had come with, like, say, white kit, this could have been a really good tool bag. But Crest weight is 41.99 grams. But let's now head out to the stadium and do some test spins and some test battles with both these bays. Alright, now we're going to do some test spins and some test battles with both Clamp Crab and Crest Leon. So we're going to start off with Crab. So being on Spike, it's going to stay relatively in the center. But it's just a real shame about its weight. Like, has it been at least around the same weight as Wyvern Gale and even Yelcon, I could definitely see this bay being at least somewhat useful. But with it being 27 grams, I mean, that's pretty much almost the same weight as Ghost Circle, which is one of the widest blades out there right now. This is not going to be really good. Even in the Hasbro Stadium, I think. Now for Crest Leon. Now being on the cell, it's gonna bounce around a bit. But this is really where I feel the pack just falls flat. Like, if this bay actually kept the original combo, which was what, 970 kick, this could have been a really good value duo pack, but since they took the kick out and gave it to Drawn Dagger in Wave 9, it's a little bit disappointing. Like, it could have been cooler if they actually gave it a white glide. That actually would have been cool. But yeah, it's just that I do feel like this dual pack, it just really cut the corners in all the wrong ways. This could have been a great pack, but I'm not the one that makes the decisions. But let's now see how these two go against some opponents. Yeah, I do think if Clam Crab was at least the same weight as Wyvern Gale, this actually probably would be doing a lot better. But since it's so lightweight, it just keeps losing in terms of stamina. Yeah, this combo is just absolute garbage. Why did they give it a sell? If they just kept kick, this actually would be doing at least somewhat decently, but a sell's just... I just don't like a sell, and a lot of other people feel the same. Wow, the hit made it burst. Wow. Yeah, that's why you don't use simple ranches on attack types. It's just doesn't work in your favor. So that's it for my look at Clamp Crab and Crest Leon. I'll be honest, I am very disappointed in this dual pack. It's definitely very clear that this pack really got the short end of the stick when it came to the budgeting, and it's definitely really evident in a lot of aspects of this pack, both in terms of the blade choices and also the part combinations. But I'll talk about each of these now one at a time. Starting off with Clamp Crab, I will say this, Clamp Crab is probably the best aspect of this dual pack. I think the motif of the blade looks fantastic, and the colors of its parts look really great as well. But what really lets this blade down is mainly two things. First off, the blade, it's way too light. Had this at least been a similar weight to Wyvern Gale and Yelkong, we could have actually been looking at a really decent stamina type blade. Probably not the best, but it would have been decent. And really, the inclusion of 965, I do appreciate seeing it in a dual pack, but I think it would have been better if it was 960. But either way, it's probably the best aspect of the pack, but not by much. As for Crest Leon, this is really the downfall of the pack in my opinion. Now, had this Crest Leon been an Hasbro exclusive free color, I do think my opinion on this blade would have actually been a lot better. But since this is the one for the random booster, it's a real kick in the teeth to see them change up the combo completely, mainly for the kick bit. Had they kept the kick bit, this could have been a really nice offering to get at least kick outside of Reaper and Syndio. But they didn't, which is really disappointing. And especially with 455, it just makes it even worse. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I am really frustrated and disappointed with the choices they made with this blade. I do appreciate seeing the blade from the random booster appear, but this is definitely a case where they should have kept the original combo and not try to cut costs, and they cut costs in the worst way possible. So my final thoughts on this jewel pack are definitely pretty low. This is probably one of the worst jewel packs that Hasbro's released so far. I will say Clamp Crab is probably the best aspect of the pack. I think it does look great, and its colors look really good as well. Crest is just really a massive letdown, mainly because of its part choices. Had it been either a Hasbro exclusive recolor or they kept the original parts, this could have been at least somewhat decent. So I would only really recommend you picking up this jewel pack if you don't have any of these parts yet, or you just really like the motif of Crab. If not, this can be an easy skip, or you can wait for it to go for clearance at like Walmart or something. But, so yeah, this is really the first jewel pack I've really felt like I can't really recommend to you fully. Like, I can only really recommend it if you can get it for really dirt cheap, or you're really desperate for some of these parts. But, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out all my other friends' channels in the links in the description below. So until then, I'll see you all in the next video.